When you think of zombie survival games, there are a lot that come to mind, but two stand above the rest. Two zombie games that have been around for years and have only improved as time has gone on. Project Zomboid and 7 Days to Die. These two games are very, very different, but also very similar, and they are easily my two most played zombie survival games, and two of the most popular zombie games out right now. But which one is better? Well, when it comes to popularity, they are very similar. Both consistently get around 30k players. So what is so different about these two games? So first, let's start off the obvious. 7 Days to Die is first person while Zomboid is isometric. Now when it comes to this, it's hard to say which is better because it really is up to personal preference. I know some people who just cannot play Zomboid due to its isometric view, and I have other friends that just don't care if it's first person or not. So point wise, when it comes to POV, it's a tie because you can't really say one is better than the other. So we are even at 1-1. Next, let's talk about the zombies. Obviously, the zombies are a very important aspect of both games, so having good zombie mechanics is crucial to how good the game is. And when it comes to zombies, I think both games do it very differently, but also do it very well. With Zomboid, the zombies are the main and only threat, and a single zombie can end your playthrough with one bite. However, in 7 Days to Die, zombies will smack at you and you can take a decent amount of hits before dying, so a single zombie will never really be a threat. But at the same time, 7 Days to Die has a bunch of unique zombies that spice up the gameplay. In Zomboid, every zombie is the exact same besides their appearance, none of them have unique abilities or can do anything special. In 7 Days, you have zombies that scream to attract hordes, zombies that shoot acid, and zombies that are literal demons from hell. And although I like the idea that a single zombie in Zomboid is a deadly threat and can end you in one bite, I can't ignore the amount of variation in 7 Days to Die zombies, so that point goes to them, 2-1. Now let's look at the map for each game. Both of these games have massive open world maps with a huge amount of locations that you can go to and loot, but I'm just going to be straight up, the 7 Days map is better. I mean, we have multiple biomes, each of unique locations and unique enemies. Every location on the map has incredible detail and a danger level, and it's just better. The Zomboid map is great and definitely more realistic than the 7 Days one. I mean, come on, there's no desert that is this close to a snowy tundra, but when it comes to gameplay, this definitely makes the 7 Days to Die map more fun and unique. And also, if you get tired of their pre-made map, you can also make a random gen map. So another point for 7 Days to Die, 3-1. Next, we have level of detail. The small details are what really impresses me with games, and 7 Days to Die has great detail when it comes to locations, making them feel very alive and vibrant, but when it comes to game mechanics, the level of detail in Zomboid is unmatched. When you break a window, you gotta remove the broken glass or else you'll get cut. You can get cuts from running through trees, and your feet will get injured if you aren't wearing shoes, and the list goes on and on. The level of detail in Zomboid makes the game feel like real life, and it's one of my favorite aspects about the game, so point to Zomboid, 3-2. Now let's look at game progression. I feel like a lot of you can already tell where this is going. Zomboid's game progression is kind of ass. Besides a few events like the power going off and the helicopter event, not much really changes as you progress in Zomboid. Whereas in 7 Days, you obviously have the horde every week that gets harder and harder as the game goes on. And on top of that, you have different biomes and locations that have different difficulty levels. And in those more difficult locations, you have higher tier loot. In Zomboid, the weapons don't have different levels, and yeah, you can progress with skills, but 7 Days to Die also has that, so another point for them, 4-2. But what about the game difficulty? Neither of these games are easy. In 7 Days to Die, 7-day hordes and the unique zombies make the game harder as you progress, but in Zomboid, the zombies are always a threat even from day one. A single zombie is a deadly threat, and there are thousands of them. Like, they are literally everywhere, you are never safe. In 7 Days to Die, you can usually remain pretty safe if you're outside away from large towns, but in Zomboid, you can be anywhere and a single zombie can sneak up behind you, and boom, you are dead. This makes it so you're always on your toes and you're never completely certain if you're safe, so a point goes to Zomboid, 4-3. Next is combat. In any survival game there is going to be a lot of combat, so making sure it's fun and entertaining is very important. However, when it comes to 7 Days being first person and Zomboid being isometric, it's hard to compare these two. Obviously the combat is going to be very different for these two games, but I'm gonna be honest, I just like the Zomboid combat better. I think it's very unique, and I think the 7 Days to Die combat is just like every other first-person survival game out there. And I'm not saying that it's bad, but personally I'm just tired of it. In Zomboid, the combat feels real. Like one wrong move and it could be over for me. But in 7 Days to Die, it's just smack, 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 get smacked, smack some more, and done. While in Zomboid you smack, but you also push, stand on a zombie while killing another, and stomp. So it's just more unique for me, so it takes the point. Alright, so we're tied at 4-4. So this last thing will be our decider for which game is better, the world. And I don't mean the map, we've already talked about that, I mean the actual world of the game. Does it feel real, or is it just a map of enemies that you have to fight? Well, let's start with Zomboid. Project Zomboid has an issue of lacking animals and NPCs, and besides you, the only other thing in the world is the zombies. But Zomboid does help fix this. You have game events like the helicopter event, and some random smaller events like distant gunshots, police blockades, survivor houses, and more. But what about 7 Days to Die? Well, here we do have animals and NPC traders, although they don't really do anything besides sit in their little shop. You also have airdrops every few days and missions to go on for traders, while in Zomboid there are no goals set for you by the game except to survive. One thing I do love in Zomboid is the seasons, but let's be honest, most of us die before winter, so we never even get to experience it. So really I do think that the world of 7 Days to Die is just more filled and vibrant with more to do. So we got another point for 7 Days to Die, making it 5-4 and making them the winner. So 7 Days to Die is the better game, and there goes all my subscribers flocking to the unsubscribe button. But wait, we can't forget the most important thing about these two games. They have been in development for years and they are being updated all the time. Well, kind of. But as it turns out, both of these games are getting a huge update pretty soon. Version 1.0 for 7 Days to Die and Build 42 for Project Zomboid. Both of these updates will be huge for the game and will add an incredible amount of new content into them. So although I do believe 7 Days to Die is a more fleshed out and complete game than Project Zomboid right now, I believe Project Zomboid does have more potential, especially when it comes to NPCs being added in the future. But let's be real guys. Both of these games are amazing, and if you love one, you'll probably love the other. They are two very different games, but they both tickle the same part of my brain, and I love them both. And I heavily recommend you guys try them both out. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, I hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will see you all in the next one.